Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
I am your not hungry host, too, Bree.
Let
me give a snack.
Well, for those of you that know the background behind podcasts, you do a lot of this thing called batching.
Batching is amazing. We talk about batching did we talk about it in our time at management episode? A little bit. A little bit. But yeah, so like with batching, you're recording a couple of episodes at once, and we did like 2, and then you're like, okay, I need to stop or else I'm going to pass out. I need a snack. I'm eating healthier.
Our bodies need food.
Yes, I'm eating. Well, I don't want to say eating healthier. I go into this a lot, that food has such like judgment and shame attached to it. And sometimes even the eating healthier has a lot of shame attached to it.
Really?
Because there's not really a definition of healthy. I mean, if you look at, for instance, like Weight Watchers, is Weight Watchers healthy? Well, there's a lot of sugar in those foods. Like it could be like, you can make the argument for it. Is keto healthy? Well, keto has a lot of added fat to it. So is that healthy? So there's just so many interpretations, and healthy has shame, and it's not defined.
Maybe less refined foods.
Less processed foods. More whole foods.
There we go. Yeah, see, more whole foods.
My snack was a hard-boiled egg with everything but the bagel seasoning. Have you had that from Trader
No,
Joe's?
I've heard so much about this.
Good. You just sprinkle it on and a little bit of salt, and it's like you have an egg and an apple. And actually, I feel much better after eating that. So
see, there you go. It gives you the fuel that your brain needs to move forward.
Yep. It's proteiny.
If only our kids would listen to us when we tell them that. You need a balanced breakfast.
I think the only way we can do, though, is just to have them see how we eat. Like,
true.
My husband and I have gone a lot off of the processed food, and we're not eating out as much. And my kids don't like it right now. It's a real fight. And literally, my son said to me, well, just because you're choosing to eat this way doesn't mean we should. And I'm like,
that is the exact argument that has happened in my house whenever I try to do the Whole30. And the Whole30 to me, like, I like it because it cuts out the sugars, and I've got such a sugar sweet tooth, and it makes me do better. But yeah, my kids say the same thing. Just because you're eating, and that's what they're wording, just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean we have to. And I'm like, hey.
You're giving the model for it.
Exactly.
And I always think you need a plan. Like you do Whole30. We're doing macro counting.
See?
So I'm trying to up my protein intake.
I mean, and there's times where it just happens naturally, which is awesome. But we are getting way off subject here.
We are getting way off subject.
Not to do with our episode.
I just get in these little things. No, our episode today is about chores.
Yes, and about how you can get your kids to do their chores at home. And chores, we're using, like, I'm going to give you this disclaimer right now. We're using the word chores, but in your family, it might be contributions, might be responsibilities.
Yep, it could be anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. So please don't click this off just because you're hearing the word chores and you're like, nope, I don't believe in my kids doing chores. Okay, we're just talking about the things that our kids need to do around the household to make our family work, to make our household run.
Yep. And we're going to tell you how to deal with it when they don't do it, and how to get them to do it more often and more frequently.
This episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast is brought to you by
our free masterclass, The 5 Mistakes That Are Keeping Your Family from Helping Out. It is the perfect complement to this episode, in fact, because we really dig into the things that our society tells us that we should be doing to keep our kids, quote unquote, accountable, that don't work. Yes. They don't work. And so in this class, you're going to learn the 5 mistakes that we as parents do, and also see how to fix it. So I will see you in class. You can join at noguiltmom.com/registration-5- mistakes. And we'll also have a link to that in our show notes. And now, on with the show. You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast. Okay, so chores, they are such a hot button issue because
I know we hear about this from parents all the time, and this comes up all the time. It's so much so that it, like you just mentioned, it's in our free masterclass and it's part of our Common Happy Parenting.
Yeah,
Because getting kids to stick to doing their responsibilities at home is a struggle.
it's a struggle. And also, I would say second to that is how do you get your spouse to help out at home as well?
Oh yeah, that can be another big one. We do get that one.
We do
And
one
it's
a
kind of
lot.
I will say with that one, I feel a little bit more where I feel like I'm walking a little bit more on like thin ice.
The nice, but
Yeah, because I just feel like I had to be careful about what I say because I don't want to have anybody feel. I feel like I can say things about kids getting their chores done and processes that you can use, and parents tend to take that with thicker skin
yeah,
than when you're talking about their spouse, because that's a more intimate relationship.
it is. It is.
But not to say that these things aren't still effective. They definitely are.
Not to say that, yeah, it's different too, because the way we approach chores here at No Guilt Mom is really through a conversation and relationship-based dynamic,
Right.
which also works for spouses because we're talking about communication. We're talking about communicating our own needs, our own feelings, and figuring out what we want and then letting other people know what we want and how to meet them in the middle.
And I think that's where the thin ice comes from sometimes.
Well, the dynamic is different. The dynamic is different between spouses and kids. Because kids, you're looking at it from a teaching perspective, whereas spouses, you're looking at it as your partners.
Right. So it can seem more intimidating.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
But again, neither here nor there, chores. They are
Chores.
the bane of every family's existence. How do you get everybody in the household to help out so that all the responsibility doesn't lie on one person's shoulders, which I'm going to be honest, people, tends to be on mom's shoulders.
It does.
It does.
And it's horrible.
not fair.
And we're going to help you out of that because it shouldn't be all on you. So the first thing, always we recommend is really... Here's the thin ice again. Before we can get kids to help out with chores, we need to make sure the adults in the house are on the same page when it comes to chores. Now, that's only if you have your parenting partner living in the house. That's the adult in your house on the same page.
Right. So to give you like from the single parenting or the co-parenting factor of like, kids divorce and kids being at two different homes, I'm going to tell you this right now. You cannot control what happens in other people's households. Just let go of that. I am actually, my therapist recently said something really amazing that I felt like made it really an easy way to explain this to your kids. So like if you have kids that are in multiple households and they're like, well, I don't have to do that at dad's house. I don't have to do this at so-and-so's house. Okay, here's the deal. Do you play games, Joanne?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're playing Tycoon on Roblox,
Yes.
do you play with a different set of rules than you play when you play Minecraft with your son?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different set of rules.
Uh-huh.
When you're in one household, you're playing one game, you have one set of rules.
I
and
like
expectations.
that.
And when you come over to this one,
That is a great explanation of it.
I never thought of it that way. And when he said it, I'm like, of course.
Of course. Yes, that makes total sense how to do that. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
So when we talk about getting your parenting partner on the same page, it's really having a discussion about chores.
Yes.
Having a discussion on how chores are delegated in your home. A really great resource on this is the book Fair Play by Eve Rodsky, and it's about sharing that chore dynamic in your home. So if you really want the insight into how this could work and how this can benefit and make you a happier person and even have a better relationship, go check out Eve's book. It's amazing.
And spoiler alert, she will be coming on the podcast.
She's coming on the podcast. I'm so excited.
Yes, we were so excited for that one.
So excited. So after you and your parenting partner are on the same page and you agree that, hey, kids should be taking on more around the house, we're sharing more around the house, well, then we go to the next step, which is actually assigning chores.
Yes, but I'm going to say this. Before you get to that point, I just want to ask for you to have an open mindset. Because we talked about this on another podcast about, we had one about what to do in your kid lives, right? A lot of times when our kids aren't doing chores in the household or aren't sticking up to responsibilities, we might have the wrong mindset about this. We might be thinking my kids are rude. My kids are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
My family's lazy. My family wants to be rude. They don't respect me.
They don't want to help out. They don't want to help me. They just want me to do everything for them.
Or they expect me to do everything because I'm mom.
Yes.
Right? And then what happens?
And then shouldn't I do everything for them because they're so stressed at school? And then maybe I should just make their lives easier.
Oh, see, you're better about that. I go straight into resentment. What? Why do I have to do everything? But
I get the guilt.
I digress. We all have these feelings. So just what I'm saying is before you start having the conversation, just make sure that you have checked your mindset at the door, that chances are very good your kids, your family are not trying to be rude. They don't necessarily think that they're not necessarily being lazy. And not in every case, but in a lot of cases, they don't necessarily think that because you're mom, you have to do everything. There might be some misunderstood expectations there, which we'll get to, but that doesn't mean that that's what they're thinking.
Yes. So it's really good to make sure you're aware of your thoughts about that process.
Yes.
But when you have chores, when they're assigned in your home, and we really go into this in depth in Calm and Happy Parenting about the family meeting you use to get chores,
yes, my favorite way.
I want to say deviated, but that's not the word. It's divvied up among all the family. And then you get into the situation where the dishes are left in the sink, or the dog poop is in the yard for weeks on end, or
the kid's job is to take out the recycles, and the recycles are completely full and starting to fall on the floor.
What? do you do?
Oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, after you allow the rage to come out.
Rage. It's all rage.
I always think of this scene from Young Frankenstein.
I have not seen that movie.
Oh my goodness. Madeline Klein, I think is her name. And she's like, I'm so angry. There's flames coming out of my head. It's flames. Like, that's what I always say when I get really, really mad.
Yeah.
But okay. So you see them not doing it and you are angry. Allow yourself to process being angry first. Because you can't solve any problems when you are mad.
No. And it's okay to be mad.
Yeah, it is okay.
It's okay to be mad.
To process it.
It's okay to be snippy. Like, so often when I get mad, I have the inclination that I want to apologize for being mad. And I'm like, no, I handled myself very well during that mad episode. Thank you very much. I am allowed to have those feelings.
Yes. So that's an important thing we want you to know. Like, trying to push them down and make them not happen, that's not the best scenario because feelings have a way of popping out no matter what.
Yeah. So, and if you need to excuse yourself, you can actually be like, I'm really upset seeing that and I need some time to cool down.
Right. And do what you need to. I also love having my friends that I can call and complain to. Be like, I need to vent.
You know what they did.
They did this. So, okay. So again, chores aren't like you guys already talked about it. You had the conversation. Everybody agreed to doing something, right? And now people in the household are not holding up their end of the bargain.
Yep.
So what do you start with? Like, how do you start addressing this?
So the first thing is to figure out the why. And sometimes I figure out the why just by watching them. Like, are they getting distracted? Do they have a specific time they need to get the chore done by? That is a big one.
I feel like I agree with that one. That's a big one that a lot of us miss.
That's a big one because it's just with work. Like, when you know that you have to get something done by a specific time, you get it done by that time. Now, it may be like you get it done an hour before that time, which is fine, which is how the human brain works.
Yeah.
Our friend Ned Johnson, he has a great TikTok out there about how teen brains and kid brains work a little differently than adult brains. Whereas like us, we'll see a limit approaching and we'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure like I'm not stressed during this time. I'm going to start planning for it ahead of time and do it ahead of time. Whereas kids, they don't yet have the experience. They don't yet have the brain development to plan ahead like that. And their system, their like, I don't want to say panic system, but their urgency doesn't kick in until much closer to the deadline.
So what I'm hearing is I could continuously remind, and nag, and my child is not going to feel that timeline the way that I feel the timeline.
Exactly.
So while I'm getting mad that I'm reminding and nagging, they're hearing it, but just is not having the same physiological response.
Exactly.
So that's an important thing to know.
It's important. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the reminding and nagging sounds like Charlie Brown. Which is
why timelines are so important when you want to get the chores done. And the best way I do this is I ask my kids, I'm like, I don't want to nag or remind you. Like, what time are you going to get this done by? And usually my son will be like, I'll get it done right before dinner. Or I'll get it done before bed. And then we have a limit. He has even told me the limit, and now I can hold him to that limit. So if it comes to dinner time and that dishwasher's not loaded, that's the time I'm like, hey, so we discussed and you said you would get the dishwasher loaded before dinner, and it's dinner. And then I just leave it there. And usually it's followed by a sorry. And then he goes and unloads it.
There you go.
Problem solved.
Yeah. Well, and another way to do this too with the timeline, like in our household, again, because like I have said many times, and I even said earlier in this episode, I am divorced. My kids are with me 1 week and then they go to their dad's for 1 week and then back in my house for 1 week. So because of that, our timeline is difficult. Like I can't say to you, get it done on the weekends because again, we do our transitions on Fridays. So their weekends are their first couple days back with me. And anyone that has a divorced co-parenting household, you know that kids kind of need a little bit of time to readjust. So weekends, which are normally when people do chores, are horrible in our household. It's not a good fit. People get upset and we just can't get things done. So I had to ask my kids when we were dealing out the whole responsibilities, when do you think is a reasonable time for you to get this done? And again, bear in mind, my kids are teenagers. So they know their schedule. They know my daughter knew when she had volleyball after school and she knew when she had youth group. My son knew when he had band practice. So they knew what their limits were. And they each picked a different day. And I'm like, okay, but this is going to be accountable, right? You're going to get it done. And like you said, there had to be a time.
There has to be a time.
And with our household, we did the same thing you did. We tied it to an event that is very noticeable in our house. Dinner has to be done before dinner.
and my family too, I'm great on giving like notifications. They all get a 20-minute notice before dinner. I do the whole Alexa thing, like Alexa announcement. And then everybody has 20 minutes until dinner time. And then that is also, they're like, okay, you had notice before dinner when you need to get your chores done.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no question about it. It's clear, it's concise, expectations are set.
The hard part is getting it clear and concise. And that takes a little bit of work and a little bit of trial and error. So
that took a year in our household.
Yeah. And it's taking some time here too. Like we just moved to a new house. Our schedules have changed for the summer and we're cooking a lot more at home too. So now the benefit of that is that there are regularly dishes, like the entire dishes need to be done every night because of how many dishes we're using.
Yeah, I hear you.
Whereas before when we were eating out kind of often, they kind of ebbed and flowed based on when we ate out. So that's changing. So don't be too hard on yourself if you try this limit and it doesn't work the first time. It's going to take some trial and error.
Yeah, but you'll get there. And another thing too to keep in mind is like, if you need a set timeline and you can't do what Joy and I are talking about, like where it's like, okay, pick a day when you need it done. Mm-hmm. If you definitely need it set by a timeline that your kids are like, oh, that's too hard, let them know why. Mm-hmm. Why are you asking for that timeline?
Yeah.
And don't make it the whole like, because I said so. That didn't work when you were a kid either, when your parents said it. It just pissed you off. And then you did it out of fear, maybe, if you even did it. So like letting them know, like you just said with the dishwasher, because you had one too about like unloading the dishwasher. I can't cook.
Yeah.
If I don't have the dishes that are in the dishwasher.
I have to rewash all the dishes to use them for cooking.
Right.
Which makes it difficult.
Right.
I have a good one that we have to get this whole dog poop in the yard situation handled. This is my daughter's job. And I think I have a good one for that. It's because I like to sit on the back porch and seeing dog poop right in front of me is not relaxing at all.
Oh, yeah. That would also make me a little nauseated with the summer smell here in Phoenix. Like 110 degrees baking dog poop. Not exactly a fun scent.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Although at that time, I won't go into dog poop. Anyways.
You're like, Brie, this is way too deep. Just let me finish my story.
We can move on from the dog poop. But yeah, the why is so important. That way they know how they're affecting people.
Exactly. And you know what? Also with that, I tie it back to this a lot with my kids. Okay, when XYZ doesn't get done, I get stressed out because then this happens, right? Like, so for you, when I go outside in the morning, that's my relaxation time. If I can't have that relaxation time, I come back and I'm a little bit more stressed, a little bit less cool, might be a little bit more snippy. Mm-hmm. And that's how those actions directly affect me. And then I know that when I'm snippy, I call it grumpy mom in my house. Then I turn into grumpy mom. I know you don't like grumpy mom. Mm-hmm. You've told me you don't like grumpy mom. And guess what? I don't like grumpy mom either. I don't like being grumpy. So let's all find a way to not have grumpy mom happen. Mm-hmm. And the easiest way is pick up the dog poop.
Yeah. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Hey all, Brie here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
No, I think it's good because it's literally, you're also owning your own emotions.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of us have been like, oh, it's fine. Relax, Brie. It's not the end of the world.
Let the kids be kids.
Let the
I hear that
kids
a
be
lot.
kids. And no, I'm sorry. We have emotions too. And saying them and expressing them in respectful ways is great. It's a great model for your kids. Like right now, actually, my daughter is having a hard time expressing her feelings to friends because she's afraid of rejection. And how can our kids learn to express their feelings if they're not shown how to express their feelings?
Right. Because how many of us did our moms growing up do a lot of
Fine.
whatever.
Or the passive aggressiveness. Why don't you do this?
Exactly. So, okay. So we've gotten to the point now where we've already talked about setting the example for doing the chores at home with your significant other, talking to your family, them all taking up responsibilities, saying they would do it. We talked about having clear expectations on why they need to be done and when. So now you did all that. One kid has to clean the bathroom. It's still not getting done by any, like they're saying they're getting it done, but you walk in there and you're like, yeah, they're still peeing on the toilet. Like what do you do next?
It's a teaching example. So a lot of times we go into that situation. I remember I had to clean bathrooms when I was a kid. And I remember my dad coming in and inspecting the bathroom and being like, nope, that's not done. That's not done. And then I get really, really mad.
Yeah, you get resentful because you're like, I did it.
So what helps is coming in and working beside your kid at first, especially if they're having trouble with something. Dishes are a great example because there are so many things we intuitively know how to do that our kids don't. For example, in dishes, hot water is your best friend in the entire world. And if you don't use hot water to wash dishes, you are always going to have trouble getting those things clean.
Yep.
And grease and everything.
My kids didn't understand scrubbing. That's another thing too. Like you think that everybody understands that you have to scrub stuck on food.
Yeah.
My kids thought like you just splash a little water on it. Oh, done, come off, Mom. Sorry, don't know what else to do. And I'm like,
throw away the pan. It is ruined.
Yeah, you see that little pad next to you. That's a little rough. Yeah, that's what you use it for. But nobody ever taught them that.
Yeah. How are they supposed to know if they're not taught?
So we have this amazing tool that we tell parents to use in Common Happy Parenting. The whole we do.
I do, we do, you do.
I always skip that first step. I do.
We do.
We do, you do. So I do it once and have my kid watch.
Yeah.
Right? And then we do it together.
We do it together. And we do last a long time because you're gradually releasing responsibility for the skill. And a lot of kids will approach that and be like, I know how to do it. I could do it. Let me do that. And they'll like try the whole thing after seeing it once. And you'll be like, well, okay, this was great and this was great. However, let me help you with this part.
Right. And some kids, to get them out of that whole like we do and get them into the whole you do factor, some kids need visual aids. This works really great with younger kids or kids that are neurodiverse. You can maybe ask them if they would like a checklist to remind them the things that they need to do, especially if it's something that has multiple steps. So again, like maybe the kids have multiple chores in the household, or maybe they have a chore that takes more than one step. Like my son's job in our house is to vacuum. Our house has 3 floors and 2 sets of stairs.
Yeah.
And I constantly am like, he's like, okay, I did my vacuuming. I'm like, did you do the stairs? He's like, oh, I forgot. And he does really well with checklists. So like giving him a checklist that I can put up that's like, okay, vacuuming means floor 1, floor 2, and the stairs. He'll remember to do it that way.
That's a great idea.
And he appreciates it because I'm not nagging him.
Yeah. And they also need to be able to make their own mistakes.
Yep.
And you need to establish a baseline level of done. So a lot of things that really, I want to say hamper parents when it comes to chores is we hear, well, they don't do it the way I want it done. Or they don't do it the way I do it, or I do it better. And so it's really deciding what is the minimum standard for this chore that needs to be done.
That is a true point, because even with older kids like teenagers, expecting them to do something at the same skill level as you can do it. And let's just say you're my age, you are 42. You have 42 years of experience on this planet, lots of years setting things up the way that you want them set up. You cannot, it's just not realistic to have the same expectations for your kids.
Yep.
You can for your spouse, I think.
Not
for my
your
spouse
either.
I can be, well, you know what? They don't have to do it the exact same way I do it. You are right, because you are 100% correct, because I see where you're going with this. You're going to talk about delegating.
Well, you have to delegate it. And when you delegate something, you can't expect it to be done at the same level as you do it, because that's not delegating. Delegating is giving someone complete control over the chore, which is why it's good to do like minimum standard. In Eve Rodsky's book, Fair Play, she talks about how it was her husband's job to take out the trash, and there would be like these boxes of pizza boxes stacked up near the trash. And she would keep getting mad until she realized that, hey, when she met her husband in college, this is how they handled pizza boxes. Like they would stack them as high as they could before they took them out. So they'd never discussed that, okay, taking out the trash means like the pizza boxes, like she wanted them gone, basically.
Yeah.
So when she came with that discussion, been like, I'm really bothered by the pizza boxes, and opened that up, they were able to come to an agreement that way of, hey, pizza boxes, it's taking out the trash.
And I think that's a big thing too, because you don't always know what might be irritating somebody else unless they tell you. So you have to have that open conversation. Okay, so we've talked about all of this. It's still not getting done. There is one thing that I feel like we talk about a lot too with Common Happy Parenting that is super effective with this. So your kiddo still isn't getting their chores done, and you're like, I don't know what else to do. Now they're asking like to go hang out with their friends, or now it's time to go to soccer practice. This is a real effective one.
Well, it goes back to establishing that limit.
Yes.
So when they tell you, okay, it's going to be done by dinner, and then they ask to go out with their friends, and you know that there's not enough time between dinner and friends, you could pull out the when then. Be like, yeah, when you unload the dishwasher, then you can go out with your friends. Totally. Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
We do this one in our household, and I hope that, not that I hope. You guys are our No Guilt Mom community, so you're not going to be over judgy on this one. But a big one we have to do with one of my kids is the whole, when you get your chores done, then you get a ride to youth group. Like, that's just how it goes. That is something that one of my kiddos really, really, really looks forward to. And so, and she picked that day, you know which kid it is now. She picked that day for her day to get her chores done. And so we're like, okay, great. When they're done, that's when you get a ride. And I can tell you there's plenty of days, plenty of weeks where it comes down to the wire. Like those chores are getting done like 20 minutes before it's time to go.
But they're done.
And they meet the minimal expectations.
Yeah.
Because she has timed that sucker down and she has figured out how to get it done in like 20 minutes. More power to you. But it's very effective when you stick with the when this,
then this. And it's not a punishment. It's just saying this is the order things need to happen in.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah. So, I mean, and all of these ideas that we've given, all these strategies work with kids of all ages, honestly.
They do. You can adapt them from everyone from your grade schooler, or even start a little bit with preschooler, or very small steps there.
Yeah.
To your high schooler. It really works. And it really comes down to just time expectations and having that discussion about what's a minimal standard. I want to say minimum standard of care. But
so, hey, take a moment. Send us an email at hello@noguiltmom.com. Tell us if you use these strategies and how they worked. Or better yet, if you're listening on Apple Podcast, give us a rate and review. Let us know what you thought of this episode. What do you think about this? You think this is going to help with chores? Did it help with chores in your household?
And please share with your friends. Share this podcast with everyone you talk to. You could be like, hey, I was listening to a really cool podcast episode and I heard this. Oh, what's the podcast? Oh, it's No Guilt Mom. And if you like stickers, make sure to email us, hello@noguiltmom.com, and just tell us how you shared it and your address, and we'll send you a sticker.
Yes, we shall, because we like to share the whole No Guilt Mom. We share it with everybody.
So until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.